So the 2019 season was much bigger than I thought it was going to be when we first planned it out. Fixing a rally car in between every event is actually a lot more than I thought it would be. There's just so much more wear and tear in the car when you're doing that many events. The abuse the car goes through over a season is just crazy. You don't get that on a normal street car.
The challenges that we prepared for the 2019 season, I think had to have been just taking on such a big season. There were a lot of events that we added to the schedule that we had never been to before, so there was a lot more planning and logistical things, especially for me as the co-driver. I spent a lot more time, just looking at maps ahead of time and just making sure we knew where to go and how to get there.
At the beginning of the season, we were kind of humoring ourselves a little bit, just looking at the championship, the East region, and thinking, hey, we can compete in this, we can try and be competitive and see how we're going to do.
We were hoping to achieve like a top 10 finish within the championship, and our other goal was to be able to get a podium finish. And we were actually able to achieve both of those goals. At the Show Me Rally, we were able to get our first podium finish. We came third in the two-wheel drive class. And for the full season, both of us were able to get first place in the Open Two-Wheel Drive Eastern Championship.
Surprisingly, towards the end of the year, we were actually on pace for a podium finish. And as we got towards the end there, it actually became clear that we were winning. Kelsey had actually secured her top place podium finish at LSPR, I think. Our nearest competitor DNF'd. For me, there was still some contention for it. And it actually came down to the last event. Going into Nemaji, there were two other competitors that could potentially bump me down from first place. It turns out Nemaji was actually canceled due to about 2 feet of snow. So when we found that out, I really totally unexpected found out that I had secured first place.
It was a really big undertaking for us to go to so many events. I know by the end of the season, we were both really exhausted and the car was pretty beat up, but to be able to find out that we win the championship, I feel like we both have a lot more energy and excitement going into next season, but also it means we need to set our goals for next season even higher. There really is no off-season in rally. On our way home from the last event of the season, we were already discussing and preparing for the next season. There's so much that we learned last year, and we're definitely going to roll that forward. A lot of the things that we learned from last year is just really the importance of having a wonderful team of people around you, especially when it comes to crew. We also gained a lot of confidence, but we also discovered where some of our weaknesses were as a team and ways we could improve there, such as improving writing our own notes. I think we also, discovered some weaknesses in the car. We had a lot of mechanical issues. Some of them were repeat issues. We definitely have a list of things we know we have to do before we start next season.
One of the biggest things going into the 2020 season we're going to carry on with is writing our own notes. We first wrote our own notes at Ojibwe. It was mandatory. They didn't have any Jimba notes at Ojibwe, so we kind of had to do a little trial by fire. Going into Ojibwe, there was a lot of trepidation about it. We didn't really know what to expect. We were pretty nervous. But after doing recce, writing our notes, and then actually getting out on stage, we quickly realized we actually prefer it over the Jimba notes.
So we were not writing our own notes at the beginning of the season. We were using what's called Jimba notes. And so those notes are computer generated and they give you sort of a novel about the road. It's like every detail, it's a really intimate description of everything happening.
And there's just tons of little things in there. And most of it we just go and we scratch out. Like we're going and doing recce and we're like, we don't need this, we don't need this. When you're writing your own notes, you're only doing the concise part. So you don't have all this extra stuff.
You're writing them more for the pace that you're going to be driving, and you're not including all the details. You really only need the things that are on the driving line. And so writing our own notes meant that we were able to simplify things, and we really had to learn what details were really important and needed to go in the notes and what things we could leave out.
After Ojibwe, we knew that we wanted to continue writing our own notes. We weren't necessarily faster due to writing our notes right away, but it's a learning process. It takes time to get faster and to trust those notes. We wanted to kind of streamline that, move it along a little bit quicker.
In November, we flew out to Idaho and did the OzRally Pro training with Rhiannon and Alex Gelsomino. And the experience was incredible. You know, going into it, we really knew we needed to kind of define what both of our roles needed to be during reconnaissance. You know, what were the things we needed to focus on when we're doing recce? What do we need to be looking at and what do we need to be writing? And we knew that we both wanted to just absolutely build our confidence in our notes so that we would have, you know, a lot of faith in our notes and be able to push the car that much faster. The training was absolutely incredible. Both of us came out of it with, you know, just a really big sense of accomplishment and confidence, and I'm really proud of what we were able to do in just a 2-day training. They're excellent teachers, and we got so much out of it. So last year we didn't have consistent crew. We had a lot of really amazing people who were willing to jump in, some of them really, really last minute and help. And we absolutely love all of those people.
But one thing that we have found out is that when you're cycling through different crew members, especially some that aren't as experienced, there's a lot of mental capacity spent trying to bring them up to speed, a lot of extra time training them essentially on how to be crew. We've actually brought on a permanent crew chief for the 2020 season. His name is Alex Westby. He's crewed for us at a couple events in 2019, and he's ready to take on a bit more responsibility and try to be with us at every event.
My name's Alex Westby. I'm from Philadelphia, Tennessee. I got involved with Cooper Autoworks at Southern Ohio for the first time is when I met them. Kelsey was explaining stage notes to me and my friends, and I thought it was really cool that they run BMWs as well in rally, something I didn't know happened. That was all-wheel drive. And then I saw that they were asking for crew help for STPR, and I told them, hey, I'll be there if you guys are still looking for a hand. I have experience with BMWs. So he messaged me, we talked back and forth, and eventually I got to where I'm at now. This is a dream come true for me. Ever since I got into cars, it's, you know, racing, and I wanted to be on a race team, but I didn't know what kind. And then after I got into rally, it was like, well, I've got to do this. And after they said that I could crew for them, I was kind of like a little girl, like jump up and down screaming, this is awesome, this is awesome. And now that I've become like a full-time part of this, it's more than I could ever dream of.
Throughout the 2019 season, we did have a couple major mechanical issues. The most notably at New England Forest Rally, we hit a rock pretty hard and ended up cracking the oil pan. If you're not familiar with BMW E30s, they have an oil pan sump that's located front of the engine cradle, which is pretty vulnerable. So we've actually ended up killing 2 oil pans this past season, and one of the big things we're going to try to do is reinforce that skid plate, provide some extra protection for the oil pan, and hopefully prevent these issues from occurring in the future. The other major issue we ran into was some fueling issues. If you're not familiar, again, with E30s, the fuel pump pickup is only on one side of the tank, and it has a split tank with a raised center, so fuel can slosh to one side or the other, and when you get low on fuel, you end up starving your fuel pump and starving the engine, which can cause some issues. You lose power, you run lean. So one thing we're going to do is try to mitigate the issues with that. We'll be looking to a dual pickup system for the fuel pumps to hopefully resolve that issue.
Time is running short. Our next event is January 11th, and there's still a lot of things left on our list to get done.